Yeah, no, chemistry is literally physics, and physics, and basically all of it can be rendered down into math, right?
You think
Yeah.
altering DNA
But if you start to get even
It already is possible,
closer to
dude. You can literally
altering DNA with an animal? That'd be cool.
you can already do that. Like if you can literally buy a CRISPR machine in your garage and alter DNA in your garage.
Oh yeah, you can.
Yeah, that's normal.
It'd be so cool if they
I've heard that you can clone pets.
Cloning is like you can clone nowadays. Like only the sheep has been a thing since I've been a child, and it's gone better since then. Although, whatchamacallit, have you ever watched the movie where they were cloning pets, but then they cloned people, and it was like a whole Terminator? It was with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I forget what it's called. Pyro, do you know what that movie's called? It's got Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. It starts off as like cloning pets, but then they start cloning people, and like whenever you die, they basically like just bring you back for your last memory, and you get like a dot underneath your eye to say, hey, this is your like third life as a clone. Oh man, I forget. It was like it was like an early 2000s Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Jake says I'm 15 and confirms science is hard. No one knows what creature is the first to pop out their rear instead of its mouth. Poop out the rear instead of its mouth. Dude, there are some creatures that don't poop out any orifice. Like they only have one hole. Like whatchamacallit, I think lots of corals only have one hole. What? Yeah, a lot of sea creatures go in one hole and out the same hole. Yeah. A lot of birds only have one hole for both poop and pee and reproduction. That's called a cloacia. Dude, I once had an argument with a guy literally at a party who was just like, oh yeah, the Star Trek replicators are going to be like a thing in the next couple of years because we have 3D printing. I'm just like, Jesus fucking Christ, do you have any idea how hard it is to make a rock? And they're just like, it would just make a rock. You can just 3D print a rock. I'm just like, dude, you can make 3D print. Okay, this is gonna go a little bit. Maybe I should describe this before I talk about this. So, do you guys know how rocks are made? Like magma rocks are made. I kind of described it earlier.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I remember that.
Wasn't it through continental plates, right?
No. Okay. So basically, whenever you're dealing with volcanic rocks, right? You have lava in a volcano, and it cools down, right? The time in which it takes to cool down will tell you how big your minerals are going to be. If you cool it down super fast, like you do with Hawaii when it comes down to the ocean, it's going to be microcrystalline, it's going to be glassy, it's going to be just very small, right? But if you give the magma a very long time and a lot of heat and just like a long time to form, the elements can move around. The elements can go into the perfect positions and make massive crystals, okay? So whenever somebody tells me, hey, we can go into this like replicator and make something like awesome, it's like, okay, but if you make something super quick on a replicator, it can only make it the microcrystalline. You can't make the big crystals. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Energy itself and rearrange them back.
Slash.
Right, but the energy you need to do that kind of shit is like the same energy of the sun, which we just described. You can only do.
And they use it.
Let's go ahead.
They use antimatter to matter, like the equation. You know the equation.
Oh,
Energy equals
mass times all. Yeah.
Yeah. So what they do instead in Star Trek, at least, is they don't, they literally convert it into raw energy, use the energy and put it back into mass. That's what the replicators do. But they just
Right,
do it too.
but imagine the temperature that would exist when that happens.
Yeah.
Right, because energy, right?
It doesn't exist.
Right, because energy isn't just like this innocuous concept. If you just have raw energy, it's either electricity, which is like high temperature, high volatility, or you have it as like a feeling or radiation, right? The energy is something. It always exists. Light is energy, right? Now, speaking about the antimatter, that's a good question. So there's not a question. So right now there's a theory. It's not only, it's been proven, dude. Antimatter exists.
It does exist.
Yeah.
We can only make it small quantities because as soon as it hits actual matter,
It cancels out.
dissipates.
There's a theory right now, and it's not a confirmed theory yet, but you know how like the universe is basically theoretically expanding, right?
Yeah.
They have a theory that what's on the edge, like basically like was it expanding into, right? There's a theory that it's expanding into antimatter itself. So like we're eating ourselves into existence by putting matter out to the exterior parts and like making it larger. Yeah, there's also theories talking about black holes recently. That black holes, right? The theory is that everything gets sucked into it, right? So an old theory was that there was a white hole. So basically, when you go into a black hole, everything gets absorbed in, and then you go through a wormhole, and then you come out the other side with a white hole, where basically everything's just shot out, right? So that was some thoughts about like wormhole travel and all that kind of stuff. But in our observable universe, we've never seen a white hole on our end. We've never found basically at a constantly shooting out type energy. So they're looking at some black holes nowadays, and they're noticing that some black holes are growing, but other black holes are shrinking. So they're trying to observe whether or not there's a...
Radiation.
Yeah, hey, you know about this shit. Okay, cool. Yeah, they're trying to see if, okay, if stuff goes into black holes, will black holes eventually just eat themselves out, and just they're basically just like a gravity well. Yeah. So... Yeah, so we'll talk to Mortal a little bit about it because I don't think he's up to speed. So essentially, we were talking about energy, right? And energy consists in solid forms, in gas forms, in liquid forms, but it can also basically exist in radiation and in light. And when things are high temperature, high pressure and stuff like that, they tend to exist in light or radiation, right? Because things are so high energy that the electrons, the protons, and the neutrons, they can't stay together. They're just so much energy that they split apart. So when they split apart, that's what we call radiation. So what we're saying is that when when a planet gets sucked into a black hole, right? That planet is going to be put under such high pressure that things are being shoved towards each other. They become so energetic that they just break apart into their teeny tiny pieces, and they get expelled out as radiation. So things then that go into the black hole don't stay in the black hole. They get shot out as radiation, and eventually that radiation cools down and turns into stuff again. Which is fucking nuts to think that your light can cool down into a rock after a certain amount of time.
In fact, it was only recently proven after we take the Photoshop.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a theory for a long time.
Yes, until we did that, and it was so saddening that Stephen Hawking actually
Was
passed
right.
away before he could actually.
Oh wait, he died?
before he-
Oh, I didn't know he died.
You didn't know?
No, I had no idea.
You didn't use?
You didn't know?
No.
No. He passed away before his work could have been completed.
Oh, isn't that always the way though? Yeah, we're talking about Hawking's radiation, Greg. Sir, go ahead.
Yeah.
Stephen Hawking died in 2018. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're fine. Speaking about planets and stuff like that, as we've been talking about this, look what Pyro's doing. He's literally
All right. That's how my like.
doing the melon planets. You little cutie.
I
Yeah.
wanted to do physics.